Perfect. Yes. Yes, please.
So we got microphones here. That one's off. Let me just.
His don't need to be on.
And here.
We got people chiming in now.
And here.
And here.
We're famous.
These just go to the
Telephone.
the telephone.
That's what that's called, a telephone.
Slam it, Sammy.
How many people we got?
We got 5 right now.
5? Okay, so
9 and going up.
We're not famous. I'm just kidding.
Is that a way Russian?
One slide, like,
Oh yeah.
oh, you want some?
No, I'm all set.
We got 2 straws.
I got plenty.
Yeah, we can share. What? We can share.
I'm good. We're
Sure. You're no fun. Jeez.
Just gonna wait for a couple more people, folks, and then we'll start the episode 2 of the 2019 Facebook Live series here. Be sure to share and like this page. Share it with your friends so they tune in as well.
You can do that.
Did you happen to see who won last weekend? I think it was the Skittles car, right? I think so.
It's that conversation's coming.
Good thing me and Weasel have the same driver.
Yeah. No debates.
Oh, now we're spinning here.
Oh, Jesus. It's because Slitty just signed on.
Let's see, who's the defending champ in NASCAR? Oh, that's
what were we
right,
on
the
to
King,
do?
Joey Logano.
King. There's only one king. That's Richard Petty.
Jimmy Renfro's watching.
Yeah, we got a couple people in.
Young Jimmy or senior?
Dave Greenslit's on board right now. He's sitting right here at the table and he ain't watching with us. All right, folks, we'll get started. We got 18 people watching live right now. So we're here with Facebook Live 2019, episode 2 of our season here at Claremont Motorsport Park. Here we're live with Daddy's Pizza in Claremont, Hampshire, 50 Pleasant Street. Come on down and see Pat, Ashley, Ellen, and the staff here. And they're gracious enough to host us. They've been our Victory Lane sponsor for last year anyway, and hopefully they come back for this year as well. I want to introduce our panel tonight. Alongside me, my good friend and co-host on the other side of the table, Mr. George Powers.
Where? He owes me money.
And then in the middle of the table, a special guest host tonight, Stan Janovsky is joining us. He drove an hour and a half to come tonight to watch the show, so
All the way from Vermont.
all the way. That's how it sticks, though. You know, it's not an easy drive.
Tell me about it. They just got gravity last week.
we had to take the mule off the mountain.
And then, of course, our driver's guest tonight, to my right, is Chris Riendeau, who finished second in the points, and then Dave Greenslit, who finished fourth in the points in our Street Stock Division last year. So, gentlemen, thanks for joining us tonight. Folks, send your questions in as well. Be sure to share and like this video. Send your questions in. We'll have them try to answer them as they come in. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Not a problem.
Thanks for having us.
So we had we're moving into 2019 under a new era here with the Claremont Motorsports Park. What do you expect coming into the season with the new owners and everything else?
Mostly just to be competitive, I guess, and hopefully they're going in the right direction by having 5 tracks able to be all on the same road package where we can jump track to track, which by that I'm for sure going to all 5 tracks and expanding it and trying to go down south to beat LB Ovid and see what we can do against him.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little later. That's going to be a great conversation as Chris is going to head down south here in the next week or so. So that should be interesting. Dave, how about you? What's your with the new ownership? What are you looking forward to most? One with the new ownership, Phil staying on as general manager, and then also the NASCAR sanctioning. We'll talk about that.
I really got to thank Norm and Ben for purchasing the track and Phil for staying on. Phil's huge for Claremont Speedway. He's been a wicked promoter of it. But I think it's really good with the 5 tracks and what they're doing. We can pretty much go anywhere and race anywhere in New England now. for the most part, and it's a great thing for the sport. We really needed it.
Last year both of you were very, very competitive in the street stock division. I mean, what are your, what do you intend this year with the new rule changes that are going to impact both of you, obviously? I mean, what do you think is going to happen with the division this year, street stocks?
I think it should grow if everybody wants to venture out, and now there's not really much you have to change versus that you do, I guess, is from what we've been reading the rules. Our car is pretty much staying the way it is from last year. All we're doing is putting a couple new body panels on it and showing up at practice.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough. I purchased a championship car from Bryantown last year, and I've done a few different things to it. I bought a brand new crate motor to put into it, and me and Drew Davis have been pumping in the shop quite a bit, late nights and getting it ready. We haven't changed a lot on it really because Brian had it hooked up for the most part. But me and Chris are really good friends off the track, but on the track we're biggest competitors. I mean, we'll pound each other's rear bumpers off till the end of the race, but that's just the way it is.
I kind of saw a lot of the winning parts come off that car before you bought it. That's in Brian's shop, so I wasn't sure if you got them off before you bought it.
I know better than that. We have Brian sitting here watching us. So.
Yeah.
We worked on that car all year. We know what was on it.
Yeah, I mean,
You marked everything?
we had the same crew that worked on my car last year and Brian's car all year. We had a great group of guys. And all those people are coming back to help me again this year. I mean, the only one I'm missing on my crew is Larry, who's actually coming out to race this year with us. So that'll be a lot of fun. Larry's helped me over the years a ton. He helped me win my last championship down in Monadnock, and he's been a great chassis builder, great friend, almost like a father to me. So.
Yeah, go ahead, Stan.
So, I got a question for you, Chris.
Oh boy.
You had 11 wins, 18 top 5s, 21 top 10s. How do you not win the championship?
Get it right here. Heat
Oh,
points
yeah.
matter.
Points matter.
That's the truth.
So that's what went wrong was heat races, you think?
Heat races probably a few little episodes that had to happen in my point of view, but I wouldn't change it for the world. 11 wins, how you beat that? I'd rather take the track's money than win points.
That's a dream season in
Yeah.
anybody's
You know-
eyes. I agree with you.
You know, it's funny because I was going back to try to find out. Yesterday we posted on Claremont Motorsports Park Facebook page. You posted the great snow out. Pick a date. So I was going back through and looking at what date last year was our snow out date, and then I happened to come across a video that you and your father were here talking about that, and you mentioned that championships weren't important because you're like, Dad, what year did you win the championship? 95. Was that what it was? It didn't matter to you, but you remember when you had 11 wins. So it's just interesting that came up. So that's.
To me, to hit 11 wins in a single season at a regular racetrack, week in, week out, when you got Brian, Greenslit, the rest of the field that's pretty competitive, Lenny Silver, it takes a lot to be on your A game every single week. We're in the shop from Sunday afternoon till Thursday night working on the car, making sure it's dead on to be ahead of everybody, to stay on the top of the game. It's just like how Kyle Busch is with the Cup Series, always on top of his game.
Oh my God.
Races are won in the shop.
This
There's
is-
no doubt. And you got to be a great driver, that's for sure. But
It's a drinking game. Every time he mentions Kyle Busch, we'll have a drink.
Who do you like for
I'm
male
big-
drivers?
Definitely not you.
Drew.
So David, you had 3 wins, 17 top 5s, 20 top 10s, 4th in points in 2018. So you finished behind the old guy, Lenny Silver, huh? He was 3rd. So what do you have to change? I know you got a new car this year. What do you think you have to do a little different this year on trying to move ahead in the fourth place points?
For number 1, I got to beat the 64 car a couple nights.
Change the number. It's 46 this year.
Okay. Well, if it's going to be 46, then I got to beat the 46 car.
What number is it upside down?
I don't know.
We don't want to see that.
No, that's my dad's job. He can do that.
I just got to stay consistent. That's what it takes to win championships. I mean, I've won a couple in my career. Came down to Claremont my first season, 2010, first year in a rear-wheel drive and won championship. And after that, I mean, I just learned what it took to win. You have to stay consistent. You have to keep your head on your shoulders every week. You can't get mad at little things. You just got to be on your A game. Every night you're at the track.
Tell Lenny that.
Hey, I just called Lenny the old, but I tell you, I give Lenny a lot of credit to be up there. Very competitive, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, Lenny will be back there this year competing with the number 9.
Lenny was a really good competitor for us last year. I mean, there was me, Brian, Weasel, and Lenny were the class of the field last year. It's not because the other guys just didn't have the experience to stick with us. But at the end of the year, you looked at like Riendeau, Robbie Streeter. You looked at all those guys; they were all right there at the end of the year.
Kenny Thompson.
Kenny Thompson. I mean, Kenny
won a race last year.
He's fast.
Yep. And Kenny this year is going to be moving on to a sportsman mod, but the street stock will be there at some point in time. But he won't be driving it. It's going to be another driver behind that. But we'll see who that is when the season comes along.
That's secret information.
Secret. Brianna Akustis is supposed to be back as well. And she's gotten better and better every single year. And I
she's right on the verge of winning a race. I mean,
absolutely.
She probably should have won one last year.
Won a heat race last year.
I took it away on like the last restart of the race, and she should have won.
Yep.
I definitely think it helped them out quite a bit with the experience that the 4 of us drivers had to show them what it's going to take to be competitive. And up front, it's a beginner class, not really beginner, but it's mediocre class to start off in and veterans to jump down into that don't have the money for the big divisions. I think it definitely helped them guys progress on, okay, this is what it's going to take to beat Brian, myself, Greenslit, and Lenny.
I mean, me, Weasel, Brian, we've all raced higher class cars. I mean, I've raced modifieds. Weasel's raced everything. Modifieds, pro stocks, late models. Brian's raced late models. So, I mean, for them to be competitive against really good drivers, I mean, it's showing something what we have at Claremont Speedway. And if we can keep growing off that, it's going to be good.
Yeah, the street stock division this year should be pretty exciting. Some of the names that are coming out, and a lot of names that you wouldn't think that would be.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really good guys like Russ Davis. You got Jimmy Zulo coming to play with us a little bit. I mean, it's going to be a really tough class this year.
Yep.
Nice. So, a question for you, Chris. What driver in the street stock class has given you the best race that you can remember? Like, cleanest, most fun you've had?
Probably.
I would highly doubt that one.
I would definitely say probably the one between me and Brian Town. That 1 week where he is on the outside, we're door to door, rubbing, going sideways. And it was just, that was wicked fun. And then
how about
the time
that? I was going to say, how about that race that Brian broke on the last lap going into turn 3, and you and me pounded fenders to the second line.
Yeah, that was like Talladega on blocking. Who was pinching who off right there. That was fun. You can't beat that kind of race. And then get out and laugh about it and have fun. It means a lot. I'm not the best second placer, but I try to be.
Hey, David, same question.
I would have to say, I mean, it's a toss-up between Weasel and Brian. I mean, we've battled a ton and over the years, and it's usually on the most part it's clean racing. I mean, we'll pound fenders, but I also got to think back to a Super Saturday show at Monadnock a few years back.
George Baldwin.
I mean, I've learned a lot from that guy, but to beat him on the last lap in the last corner by about 2 inches to the start-finish line, that was probably the biggest win and the hardest win I've ever had. I had to reel him in. He burnt up his tires after he had a full straightaway. I mean, I reeled him in and passed him in the last corner. So, I mean, that was...
I can remember the in-car camera after you went over when you came back around after the checkered flag and you're going to the officials. Which one is it?
Thanks, Mark.
Is it me or him?
Yeah, I had no clue with that. I mean, but that was probably one of my biggest wins I've ever had right there.
Thank you, waitress.
George has won a ton of races over the years.
And he's never lacked the horsepower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just to beat him, he's one of the better drivers in New England, if not one of the best in the street stock for sure.
No, he's had hundreds of wins. You know, driving everything from Outlaws to no, that was definitely a good show. 2014, I believe it was.
Yeah, I think that was 2014.
So, folks, be sure to send your questions into these two drivers. We'll tally them up and we'll ask them as well. And then make sure you share this post. The more people that watch it, the better off we are. We keep promoting Claremont Motorsports Park. We are at Daddy's Pizza, 50 Pleasant Street, Claremont. Still got time to get down here, too, and get some food.
Yeah.
And talk some racing with us. So,
Are there any questions yet? Oh, hi, Cookie.
yeah, let's see what we got here. Emily Miller is going to be watching us. Should be one of our photographers this year. Ben says you're very welcome. So Ben, the owner of the track, is on board watching.
Yeah,
Ben,
we've been doing a little bit of iRacing with Ben, actually.
yeah, let's talk about some iRacing.
He,
Sucking up already.
Yeah, I know.
He's a pretty good guy there. He's pretty competitive on there, so it's been fun.
Sucking up already, huh?
Yeah. We're actually going to get Weasel on there to test for Richmond. He's going to be heading down there in a couple weeks. So
Let's talk about that. So Richmond, you're heading down there at the end of March.
Yeah.
Have you ever been there? Ever even seen the place?
Never seen the place. I've raced it on NASCAR and stuff like that. iRacing before, back when I was in college, but nothing serious. We're using Dad's car because his car is a little more competitive to what the rules are for down there. 10-inch tires, so that ought to be fun. And his body, we're using the old body that was on the car before. We're just peeling the vinyl off. Jim Tarbell's going to put some vinyl on it for us and go down there and have fun and start the season early and see if Dad's either driving a 64 or driving a car that together.
I mean, what are your expectations heading down there?
with Weasel, it's always the win.
I'm hoping to win the upset the South, but me and LB Ove have been talking quite a bit, and I got to thank Joe Tatro for the wheels, 10-inch wheels. He's letting us borrow them. I know me and him got into it a while in the first beginning of the season, but he's been one of the good guys to actually come over and give a helping hand when he wasn't racing, if we had a flat tire, or even the wheels now. And then pretty much try to be competitive with LB Ove. I've been talking with him quite a bit on what to expect down there, because him and Joe, they raced the Dillon Speedway, so trying to get info on, we don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight down there, because that's one of the biggest things. And been talking to the people, the tech guys down there, and they're kind of being a little eerie about the rules, what you're allowed and what you're not. So kind of getting it from LB Ovit, finding out what you can and can't do to be competitive. So I'd like to win, absolutely, to upset the South, but I'm hoping for a top 10.
Yeah, you'll have plenty of support down there, too, because you're bringing a pretty good crew, and then the former owners of the track are going to be down there, too, stopping to see you. So
yes, they've helped us out quite a bit. Jim and Karen, they're like grandparents to me, so I can't thank them enough. Mountainside Graphics for doing our shirts for us, Brooks Automotive, Chris Emerson for letting us, him coming along, letting us use the motor all year, last year, so a lot of good guys coming down, so.
Yeah, I know a couple of guys that raced down Dillon Speedway with the 10-inch tires. Jimmy Boyle, some of the Connecticut guys down there go down usually every year down to Dillon. And yeah, they say it's a lot of fun down there.
Yeah, that's what I definitely want to try is. That's definitely the next track that we're going to go to is Dillon Speedway. I want to go down there and try it, see how we go from Richmond. If Richmond turns out all right, then maybe go down south and try some more, plus race up here. But we'll see how Richmond goes first, see if we come out of there alive or not.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
Slitty, Kyle Bingham says you need to get back in the shop and keep working on that car. Chris, Zach T wants to know, how did you get your nickname?
Got my nickname from my father way back when I was probably 8 years old. I was skinny, a little runt. Not now. Now I'm a little overweight. But I used to be able to just squeeze in all a bunch of tight little holes, just run away from him. He couldn't ever really grasp onto me, so he always called me a little weasel. And then ever since then, he called me that around a bunch of people, and that's how it stuck. And some announcer always kept calling me after that. So
I figured all I had to do was look at your page, you know.
Did you footnote it? Is it footnoted to George Powers?
yes.
It should be then.
I'm not going to mention any names.
Dave, do you miss driving modifieds?
I would love to drive a modified again. Just my pocketbook can't afford to do it.
He's lying.
Ken Nichols?
Yes.
No. No, that's why we're back at street stocks. I mean, we had a lot of success in street stocks. We had a lot of fun in street stocks. in my honest opinion, I think they're the best car to drive out there. I've drove everything. I started at Thunder Road in 2006. I drove street stocks up there and moved on from there. I raced up there for 4 years and won a couple races up there, which is hard to do. I mean, you're racing against 35 car fields up there a lot of nights when I was running. So now coming down here and running street stocks, I just feel they're the most competitive and the most fun to drive. It takes a lot of driver. It's not as much setup. I mean, a little bit of setup, but you have to wheel those things.
Now, Dave, when you say you ran street stocks up at Thunder Road, that's a little different street stock than what we have down
Yeah,
here.
I mean, their street stocks up there are actually 4 cylinders. I ran, my first car ever was a Ford Escort I ran up there. I bought a championship car off of Joe Small and ran up there for the first year and a half, and then that thing bit the bullet. Coming out of turn 4 to say.
Widowmaker, huh?
Yeah, so then I ended up in a Mustang up there, learned a little bit about the rear-wheel drive, and 2010 I came down to Claremont and bought the former Josh Lovely car and ran Claremont. I think I won 6 races that year and came home with a Rookie of the Year and championship. And I owe a lot of that to Tom Curley. I mean, I learned a lot racing under him. He was the best for New England sports at the time on what he did and what he taught his drivers. I remember him getting out his little Matchbox cars and his drivers meetings and telling us, showing us what chopping was, what it wasn't, and what he was going to do to us if he caught us chopping. He was the biggest for making sure that we gave people room to race, and I bring that now. I mean, if I don't have a car to win and somebody gets the outside of me, as Chris can attest, I'm going to give them room to race. I'm not taking away their lane too.
Now, up there, you went from front-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive. What's the hardest thing you had to change or learn or unlearn going from front-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive?
A lot of it was throttle control. I mean, you couldn't front-wheel drive. You can just smash the throttle and you can send it off a corner. You just point the wheels and it'll go. But rear-wheel drive, you have to be a little bit more finesse on the throttle.
You can do that with a 64 too. It's called traction control.
Yeah. I watched Chris go from the 4th groove to the 1st groove last year in turn 4 at Claremont, and I was scratching my head trying to think of how he did that because that car just stuck.
That is lightning chassis setup right there.
Yeah, I know that. Been there. He sold that car. I shouldn't have.
So if Larry's going to race this year, is he going to sabotage your car?
So apparently my car is supposed to be out in the dirt, is what he told me, but he was little did he know we're going to finish Emerson's brand new car that's in there right now on the jig.
So Chris is going to race with us this year? Is
Yeah.
that the plan?
He's going to race part-time and then do loud, and he's focusing on his kids go-karting with him for that. So, and then he's going to help us out. Dad's car is going to be turned sideways in the shop, and then mine's going to be pushed in straight, so in case I got to push it out fast, I can just roll it out. But he says that everybody's on their own when he gets behind the wheel. And then Russ Davis is one of our cars. He bought Chris Colburn's old car, so that's another Lightning Chassis car. He's been helping him out. The joke around in our shop, Lightning Chassis, is Russ thinks he's Casey Kane of the Hendrick Group, and I'm Jimmy Johnson and Dad's Dale Jr. So he thinks that he's getting all the leftover stuff.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. It should be fun with everybody there. Russ is very competitive.
Folks, think about the names you're going to have in that street stock class this year. That is crazy.
Yeah, it's good. It's going to be a wicked class this year. I mean, last year I thought we had a really good stout field. I mean, with Lenny coming back and everybody. And this year, I mean, it's going to be stout again. If we can get Brian out there a couple races, that might be even better.
Yeah, and Brian's in the crowd tonight. Brian was the track champion last year. And he sold his car, as we mentioned earlier, to Dave. Dave's car was sold to Nick Little, who's also racing. Cody Schoolcraft is intended to be a Rookie of the Year contender this year if he gets his car ready to go.
Yeah, and he's got Josh Brusso helping him right now. So, I mean, there's some big names that are back in this class and helping out.
So, you're going to see fields of over... You can get a dozen cars or more in that street stock class this year where they're all there in any given week. It's going to be awesome.
For sure.
And a lot of competitive cars.
Absolutely. Last year we only had 5 winners in the street stock class. I would.
Well, somebody hauled a bunch of them. Yeah.
I think next year you're going to have 7 or 8. I mean, that's my prediction right now. Year to year,
I mean,
so.
I can guarantee Jimmy's going to win a few. Weasel's going to win. Of course, he's going to win a couple. The first
long
one,
as he puts on a show,
the first
that's all
one
I
and the last one at least.
Oh, that's the big money runs. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
first one for sure, because I think we need to make another bet again. I think if I win the first race, I think you ought to wear a shirt that says I'm the biggest Kyle Busch fan there is.
Oh,
Mr.
they're
Powers.
bigger fans than me. Not much bigger, but
I don't know. That's a pretty tough one to beat.
It's the camera, Joe.
So that's up to you. You can make the choice if you want to accept that or not. I know, unless you want to be a Democrat.
no. And for all you fans out there, the camera adds 80 pounds.
Yeah, it does. 'Cause that's the sad part. You and I sitting on the ends because now we're in plain view. It's not very flattering. I'll tell you that right
I'm
now.
looking
Chris
pretty.
are hiding.
I'm looking pretty rough right now. I don't know.
Hunter Durkee wants to know, Dave, if you're going to run for the NHSTRA belt this year.
So we haven't 100% decided on that. I mean, our main focus is running at Claremont Motorsports Park. That's our main focus. We want to run that, but it's all going to depend on how Claremont's going for us.
Chris, what about you? Are you going to run the NHSTRA belt?
Yeah, that's our plans. I don't know if Dad's going to do it. I think we're just going to focus on just me doing it, running it, so we can focus on one car to try getting that. Because one of the biggest competitors that's going to be doing it is Albie Ovitt, and that's what we really want to beat. So he's one of the top contenders down there, as everybody knows. Lee, Starr, Hudson, he's the one to beat down there. So that's who we're going to go try for and have at it down there. We're going to go to Loudon, obviously Richmond, and then race Claremont full time, and then jump around in between. So,
I mean, how many races do you both anticipate? I mean, Claremont's running an 18-week schedule plus the special show, and that the Granite State Pro Stock Series is running on Labor Day weekend, so 19 for you in Claremont at least. You anticipate running more outside of Claremont?
I can
You do the
guarantee
belt stuff?
we'll run 19 races.
All right.
After that, I'm not 100% sure.
whim, just send it.
It all depends. I mean, if Weasel decides to pick up and go somewhere some night, you might see the 20 car follow him. I mean, we're good friends and we love racing against each other, so.
Yeah, I'm more than likely going to run Claremont because me and Dad want to run a full season against each other, and then of course we got tag along Ross. He's just going to be a third place, if that. So, but
This is great. I love it.
mostly it's going to be probably between me and Slee as the youngest ones up there, and a few others that are going to be. So it should be fun. And then I'll have to get Town out there, maybe his kids go kart or something. But
We'll at least get Town and my car down to Monadnock a couple times just for the hell of it.
Brooklyn said to quit drinking and hurry up.
yeah,
And then Ben says he might have to jump in this street stock for a race or two and join you guys.
That'd be fun.
absolutely. Come on up.
Get Steve Dickey up here to play with us a little bit too.
This could be pretty interesting.
That'd be good to get a lot of them guys from down south up. I know they've raced up here back when the street stock tours. But Joe Arena, Jimmy Boyle, Moose, all them guys, they liked it up here, you know. That was the first time they've been up here. Joe Arena's raced up Claremont before.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
But
Two times.
it was Jimmy Boyle's first time, and Moose and all them guys, they really liked the track.
I mean, with the rule changes too, it opens it up a lot for the street stocks to come play
Right,
with us
yeah.
because
Yeah.
you know Claremont and Monadnock were sort of pigeonholed, I guess, skate stock wise. So what about the tire change? What do you guys think about the tire change?
So everything I hear on the tire, I hear it's going to be even better than what we were in last year. I mean, we were in the Hoosier 850 last year, and those things would come back week to week to week. You just abuse them and abuse them and abuse them. I hear the new tire is going to be about the same thing, so I mean, it's going to be good.
I'm going to run the 850s in practice just to see what the time difference is between the two. We got them still on the car, flat in the trailer, and then we got the spares that we're going to run out just to see what the actual difference is between the two times. And obviously we're going to do 790s, but buy them at the end and run them in and see what the actual difference is.
So, what's it like to race against Kyle Busch?
It's one of those things where you just use it as it's another driver when you get up there. It's cool to see Thunder Road. It'd be nice to see Claremont. All these other tracks bring the drivers back to the grassroots of racing.
Well, now that it's NASCAR sanctioned, there's probably a good chance of that. Probably.
That'd be nice. It'd be really cool if they could, because when you get out there, you're like, all right, yeah, I'm racing against him, or racing against Christopher Bell, or any of them other guys, like race against Brad Keselowski back up at the Oxford Plains. It's nice to race against them, but it's also their driver, and your biggest goal is to try to go out and beat them. And you don't go out there and you destroy them. You go out there and you actually truly race them. To show them respect and make them want to come back and actually try racing the track again, and not a lot of them. People go out there and destroy them, and then they don't want to come back.
Ricky Roberts.
Yeah.
We weren't going to mention any names here.
I can remember years ago. I can remember Bobby Allison racing at Claremont. I believe he drove Mike Rosso's car, one of them Maxwell's cars. I could be wrong.
Yeah, he drove an 88. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
a
that
lot
was
of it anyway.
they rolled the
Oh, was
golf
it? No,
cart.
was it? Was
They
it?
rolled the cart over coming out of pit road with Bobby Allison on it, I believe. They put it back up and got in the car. And he did
I
pretty
believe
well.
it was a spare Brusso car.
Yeah.
Was it or Boniface?
No, I think it was a spare Brusso car, but they put his colors on it.
So one of the coolest things I ever saw was, I wasn't racing in the top division at Thunder Road, but the night Tony Stewart went to Thunder Road, there was people hanging out of the trees to watch. That place was so packed. And I was running the street stock, there's a 4-cylinder class up there. I started like 22nd that night. I made it up to second and got dumped out of turn 4 coming to take the white flag.
You sound bitter, Dave.
Oh, I was mad. It wasn't good.
I know the feeling, right, Brian?
Yeah, I think I won that night.
Yeah, that's probably one of the wins, right?
That was one of my 3 that I stole.
I don't know if many people just going back a couple years. I know when we were racing for the championship, the last couple of races weren't going our way. And just want to thank Brian Town and David Greenslit. You guys are willing to give up your car if something happened to us. And just want to say I appreciate that.
That's what it's all about, though. I mean, that's what makes the street stock division so good, is everybody's willing to help everybody. We might go out there and pound each other's fenders and whatnot on the track, but when we get in the pits, if Chris breaks something, usually we're the first ones over there to say, what do you need to get your car back on the track?
Or they're seeing what cheating part probably broke.
Well,
And I mean, even back, it's no secret that Ian and us, he spun us out a few times. We always running into each other, Tyler. But I know they were having engine problems once, and even though we were mad as heck, Louis was working on his motor, and I just went and told Louis, I said, if you need a distributor, anything you need, we got one, Go ahead, come take it. It's yours if you need it.
How about a couple of years ago when we rolled that old Chris Wilk car out of the bushes that have been sitting for 10 years? Show up at the track and everybody's laughing at us. All me and Brian did to that car was throw a motor in it and went up and ran it. And the first night out with it, we finished second. Everybody's laughing because there's rust falling off of it, going through the corners. And that was a good car. It was just old.
Dropping dirt on the track as it went by and everything else, yeah.
Was that one of the ones that went through the flood?
No.
You were having some rocker arm trouble.
Oh yeah, we had some rocker arm troubles, and yeah, I remember the Janovskys over there trying to put a spark plug in. They couldn't get their hands past the headers and had to crawl underneath the car to get in there. We had mismatched parts on that thing. And the first night out with it, they wanted us to pull lower control arms. Well, we took off the top control arm, and all of a sudden nothing else moved. It was so rusted in the front end that with the spindle and everything on it, the whole control arm just stayed where it was.
I mean, what are your expectations for this year? I mean, you are going up against it. I mean, we've talked about it, a stout field of drivers. Although, looking at last year, I mean, it was still stout. A lot of drivers weren't able to race. This year, by all accounts, it's going to be a lot different. There's going to be more drivers this year that have some pedigree to them, both championships too. I mean, what are your aspirations for this year? What are your goals? Is your goal this year to win the championship, or is your goal to win 13 races?
I'd like to win the championship, but if it don't come, I'd rather win 14 races. And then mostly just have fun racing against my father, because he's not going to do it next year. He's all done racing. He's going to help out. So we're going to have 2 cars next year, one as a tour car and then one as to race weekly. So he's all done. I just really want to race against him and give it hell. And then I think it's going to be really tough. If I can get 14, I'd be some surprise this year.
You're on Bonnie's says you need to win 8 races.
I'm trying to work on my short race game, but it's not really working.
We just got to keep Chris calm. He'll be all set.
I drive better when I'm pissed.
We always, we loved it. I mean, George and I would be in the tower and put you in the back, or something would happen. We're like, oh,
good.
this is going to be good.
Yeah,
This is
now
going
it's
to be
gonna
good.
be fun.
Yeah. The fans are going to love this. Dave, same question for you. What are your expectations for this?
We just want to be competitive. I mean, we want to be able to finish up front every race. I mean, that doesn't mean winning every race, but that means we want to be top 5 every week in, week out. And what happens at the end of the year happens at the end of the year. If we win a championship, that's fine. Chris wins a championship, that's better. I mean, it all comes down to luck at the end of it. I mean, if you can do everything in your shop every week in, week out, to keep your car up front, that's all it takes. And races aren't won at the track. These people that leave their cars on the trailer weekend and just work on them on the track, that doesn't win races. That doesn't win championships. You have to work on your cars all week.
I mean, there's a number of times last year that you were late to the track because of work, and you relied on other people to get the car set up for you before you even hopped in the car.
I got a lot of faith in my father. This year it's probably going to be a little tougher, but it's definitely not going to come out of the box not fast again, that's for sure. It's always been pretty stout. We fought with it there for a little bit when we first brought it out. We finished second and third a couple of times, and then we finally started winning. But we found just stupid things wrong with it, like a spark plug hanging off, and the distributor was turned different. It was just minor stuff. When we tore it down, we must have not put it back together correctly, and then just never even checked it. But once we got all the bugs worked out of it, it was one bad bullet. So, and then the angry eyes on it. This year that should be a smile, and front bumper's going to be on the rear this year to help Greenslit out, so he's got a different view to look at.
Yeah, I told him this winter that he needed to put something on the back of that car so I could look at something different.
Well, I got a question. So let's look ahead at the end of, we'll make pretend, the end of the 2019 season. You're 1 point behind in the championship. Lap 24. Greenslit's in front of you, a little slower. White flag's out. Go by the white flag. You take him out, win the championship.
I for sure wouldn't take him out. I would definitely
Keep
rattle his
moving.
cage. I would definitely try going to the outside. If that didn't work, then I would definitely try getting him off the bottom to get underneath him. But I would definitely make it a hell of a race. I wouldn't. There was times when I caught Ryan last season, I honestly, like, you look at everything that you could have done. I could have dumped him and that's both start at the back and get up through, but that's not how I wanted to do it. I wanted to go out there and win the race and try my hardest. Could people have beat him? I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to where people were on the track afterwards. I knew I had to go out and win the race if I was going to win the championship.
And you had a lot of great races. The question was, last race.
I wouldn't do that.
What about you, David?
I mean, if I was behind him, I was a little bit quicker. I'd rattle his cage. I'd try to move him a little bit. I would not dump him, though. I mean, that's just not the way I race. Anybody that's ever raced against me will know that.
Yeah.
I try to be as clean as possible and race everybody as clean as possible. You don't get respect by going out there and smashing through people week in and week out. That just doesn't work. You have to keep your cool, and I mean, it's going to happen or it's not going to happen.
Yep.
Hardest championship I ever won was the first one, and after that, I mean, it came a little easier after that. But it's you ask Aaron Fellows. I mean, he knows what it takes to be consistent too.
So you got Corey Fanning's old car. Is that what you're going to be bringing to Dylan, or are you bringing your dad's car? What are you doing with that car?
So Corey Fanning's old car is a new. They didn't really know what kind of car it was. That when they got it, it was their backup car. Someone bought it from them, and then we got it home, and I started stripping it
It's
for Dad.
been reconstructed a little bit.
A lot. Like it was supposed to be just pull the body off, look at a few things, take stuff apart, repaint it, put it back together, and it turned into a different show than that. It was pretty much almost reconstructing it to what Dad wanted and how Dad runs bars and this and that. So it's not fully light and chassis car, but it's pretty damn close to what he wanted, what he wants now. That one's going to Richmond because now that one, it's got all the stuff that you can run on the 5-track stuff and down there for front end stuff. So
That's the car you were talking about.
yeah, and the 64 car, that's just got all the stock ball joints, everything stock in it, where down there you know how to run them now, and the new rules models here, you don't have to run them, but it's an option. So we're just keeping that car together as strictly what it was because it's pretty fast. So once they start getting beat, then I'll start changing stuff. But it'll be probably some time when everybody gets the bugs worked out, so I'll be able to get quite a few wins, hopefully wrapped up by then.
Yeah, I think one of the best finishes I've ever seen was Corey last year, the Thompson World Series, in the limited sportsman race. I don't know if you guys saw that on Facebook. I suggest everybody look it up. And by far, it's a better finish than any NASCAR race you ever seen in Philly.
It was 3 wide. He was got turned sideways almost into the wall, jumps another car and gets pushed into the other car. They're like 3 wide at the start-finish line. He somehow came out of it with the win sideways, and
it was an unbelievable finish. It was good.
And he actually has our Act Late model, so we traded cars straight up. So he's got the Act Late model, and we got his spare car.
So, folks, we're live from Daddy's Pizza here in Claremont, New Hampshire. Send your questions in. Be sure to share this video and like it as well. Season 3 of our Facebook Lives here from Daddy's Pizza, great sponsor and partner of Claremont Motorsports Park. So send your questions in, and we'll be glad to have these guys answer them for you.
I got a question for Dave. Dave, you're coming up with a new body style that we haven't seen at Claremont Speedway yet.
Yeah, I bit the bullet and went with the AR bodies, Dodge Challenger for this year. Me and Drew Davis actually spent till about 10 o'clock last night in the shop hanging that thing. And
God, I can't wait to be the first one to scratch it.
Weasel, like Weasel just said, he'll probably be the first one to scratch it. But no, I knew everybody would be going with the Camaro, so I wanted to change it up a little bit. So I went with the Challenger body on that car. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't think it's going to be any different competitive-wise, but I just kind of like the looks of it.
I like the picture you showed me of it already. Really looks sharp.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll post that picture tomorrow on Claremont Motorsports Park's Facebook page. Yeah, it'll be interesting for us because we'll see a lot of different bodies on street stocks this year.
We're just running a plain Jane 88 Monte Carlos, nothing really different about them. We're not going to change it. Slitty, his looks good. It's probably going to be good. He's probably going to be fast with it. I don't know how much of a difference they make with it, with the bodies. Probably down to Loudon, maybe, but I don't. It's hard to tell.
I don't think Claremont will be that much different.
Yeah, they're still street stock, so no matter what you do, they're still going to be up in the air. You're not going to get downforce on them. Nothing that they're bragging about.
Are either of you going to be Loudon?
I know my father is, I am, and we're trying to talk Russ into it, but he may be a little scared.
We'll see.
You know, you talk about all the different bodies we're going to see at Claremont Speedway. Look at the different bodies we got right here. I mean, come on.
Hey, it's winter time. Leave us alone.
I mean, I've been walking as much as I should. You know,
I'm not very aerodynamic.
I gotta get race shape. You know,
I'm not very aerodynamic.
I tried to snowmobile all winter just to at least keep some of the weight off. And speaking of snowmobiling, I give a shout out to Kevin Ferland who hurt himself a snowmobile wreck there last weekend.
Were you trying to
No,
get by him?
I didn't feed him the bumper, but we were with him, and just hopefully for a speedy recovery on him.
You know, so if you guys could race against one person, let's say Claremont Speedway driver, who would you want to race against? Past or present?
Who would you want to beat for a
Who would you want to beat
championship?
for a championship?
I would say Dwight Jarvis. I mean, he was mine all time looking up. It'd either be him or Punky. I mean,
I'd probably either Dwight or Peter Daniels back in that time when Peter won the 2002 championship, national championship. That'd probably be one of the ones I'd want to beat, and obviously Dwight, and then probably NASCAR-wise, it would have to be the late Teddy Christopher.
Interesting. Teddy Christopher. You'd like to beat Teddy?
TC.
Have you ever raced against him?
No, but I sure wish I could, because I don't know how well it'd come out, but we'd probably have some wrecked race cars.
Can you imagine that happening? A little 3-tap rule. And Chris Riendeau is stumped to the infield. He comes back and retaliates. That'd be fantastic.
Anybody new got questions for
Yeah,
us?
let's any questions.
Everybody being shy?
Everybody has told you it's because I'm
Do either of you drivers plan to race in the Enduro this year? We have 4 Enduros. I plan on racing in one at least.
I can't because I got some of my crew members that have built cars to race in them.
Well,
so.
John asked you if you're going to run in that.
Unless he's going to give me a car. I mean, if he's going to give me a car, I guess we can.
I don't know. I raced the one for Dave Aiken last year. I probably won't do ones on asphalt, but I'd sure love to do one at Bear Ridge. I actually raced against Stan's youngest kid up there, which was a blast. That was the funnest time in a race car I probably had in quite some time.
I got a story about that. So we were talking with Chris. He's actually my middle son, Blake. He was up there and he said something to you. He apologized if he hits you, and you didn't hear the apologize. You thought he said, "I'm going to hit you," and like your eyes got like this big. You don't know who you're talking to. I've been a lot of irons, and I'm not afraid. It's like he didn't say that, Chris.
So, Chris, tell me the difference between dirt driving and asphalt driving. I've run both too, but I want to hear what you're going to say about it.
It takes more finessing on the dirt. The groove for dirt racing is different than what you think the groove for asphalt racing is. Like asphalt, you see the dark area, that's where you want to be. That's where all the rubber's laid down. Dirt racing, where it looks really glassy looking and packed down, you think it's got a lot of bite, not the case. You want to be in the loose stuff that looks like it's dried up. So when we went to Bear Ridge that night, it was either you're right on the bottom on the tires or on the berm, or way up top on the berm by the wall. So I started like 22nd out of 32 cars or something like that, and I started getting up through tonight, and I was like, yeah, okay, I don't know much about dirt, I'm going to Hail Mary it and see what happens and go for the best. I get looking, red flag comes out, I'm sitting fifth. I'm like, this is weird. So veteran driver, I'm like, well, dirt, you'll spin the tires if you start off in first and just dump the clutch and pound it. I'm like, I'll start off in second. I dumped the clutch and that thing stalled on the backstretch and they dropped the green flag. I must have been pounded. I got hit from behind, I don't know, probably 5 to 6 times. So I got the clutch pushed in, the keys trying to start the car, get it in first gear, but I'm getting hammered from behind. Finally get it and take off. Never lost a spot because the guy didn't even pass me. He just stayed right behind me, pushing on the back bumper. And then I got up like halfway. I took over the lead and led quite a few laps, and I caught the back of the pack. And there's quite a few back there, and they're going all over the place, whatnot. So I'm like, I'll just ride it. Pretty sure I got quite a bit of lead. The only time I ever lifted when I was in the lead, I think, put into his kid that was sitting backwards in a turn 3. The second place guy slammed me into his kid. And when it picked the car up, it popped both left rear and right rear tires.
Oh my God!
So I didn't really. I thought it was like a inner fender or something slapping because it's like. I'm like, no, send it still. I went down in a turn 1 and I sent that thing and it turned about sideways. I'm like, thank God for front wheel drive. I turned to the right and floored it and stayed. I'm like, yep, this is it. 10 laps to go. I'm like, it ain't worth getting destroyed or anything like that. But that was the funnest time I had in the Darrow car. Even just in general, like trying dirt. I've always wanted to try it. Andy Hall was on me about getting over the Devil's Bowl and trying to run dirt, or always called me scared for not running dirt. So I went up to Bear Ridge and run it, and if I could get another Enduro car, or even a street stock for dirt, I would definitely take it.
It's a blast, isn't it?
And do it. I had more fun doing it, but I definitely wouldn't trade to asphalt. It was a lot more work, like a lot more dirt than you actually.
I just wouldn't want to have to work on my car after
Thanks.
spending the night on dirt track.
Yeah, the Enduro car you don't really have to worry about, but you watch the guys in the modifieds and the late models, they're pulling stuff apart. And I helped Troyer out down in Charlotte when I was in school, and that was a lot of work. You clean off all the mud in practice, and then the heat races, and then the other qualifying.
Thing is, you got to clean that clay off when it's still wet. 'Cause
Oh yeah,
when it hardens,
it's like asphalt. You're
yeah.
done.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was definitely an experience that I liked and would definitely do it again. I wouldn't do it full time, but I would definitely do it once in a while.
Have you ever run dirt?
I have never run dirt in real life. iRacing we run dirt. But, I mean, and talking to Josh's son about it, iRacing hit it pretty much on the head with how dirt actually is. So I would love to try it at some point. I've had friends. I've had friends that have invited me to run their cars before. I never got a chance to do it.
So, you bring up that question, Kyle again, Bingham asks. He wants you to talk about iRacing and how many of the Claremont drivers use iRacing, and how is iRacing actually a tool for you guys? And you've done it in the past, Chris. iRacing and how it helps you as a driver racing other places.
It's the closest thing to actually being in a car. 100% honestly. It's as close as you're going to get to be wheeling a car. Hopefully, at some point, Ben and Steve Dickey have been talking about it. Hopefully, getting some of these local tracks scanned a little bit to be on there. But it's the most realistic thing you could do to strapping into a car on a Friday night and hammering the throttle and turning left.
Does the seat shake and the steering wheel shake when you get on the rumble strip?
Steering wheel does. You can feel what the car is doing through the steering wheel.
The best part about iRacing and all that stuff is you just push the escape button when you crash and you get in the car.
You can go out and absolutely destroy each other, and it doesn't cost you a dime.
That's why everybody laughs about it afterwards, because you know it's not in anybody's pockets. So.
All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up here. Stan, any more questions? Any more questions? Or?
Just we still got time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just growing up, who do you look up to
that's a
as a
good question.
driver? You know,
He's pretty short. He looked up to most everybody.
must have been a driver out there.
My favorite drivers that I always looked up to was Dwight Jarvis in the modifieds, because we're obviously neighbors and I grew up with Joey like brothers. So I think I got his father's attitude. I took on that part of the driving style. I'd rather been like Dwight, but I definitely think I took over what Peter started. But pro stocks was, I would definitely say Roger Raymond back in the day. I don't know what it was, if it was the school bus when he hauled it in.
That's true. It's
That bright orange pro stock, that was definitely one of the coolest things in the bus. And then, like I said, Teddy Christopher would be definitely one that I looked up to. Like, I don't really ever remember Richie Evans. I wish I could. I wish I would have seen him race, because that would have definitely been probably one of the favorites up there. But them three are definitely the top.
Just a little quick history lesson. I believe Dwight Jarvis's first car he ran at Claremont was the car of the late Frank Taylor that they bought. He was from the same town where Frank Taylor was. Yep.
Vega.
That was a modified. I don't think it was a Vega. It was like a coupe.
Dwight started out with a Sportsman Vega from Hodgson Brothers. A Sportsman, not a,
Yep.
you know,
I'm not
lead.
sure if they put a different body on it or not. I'm not sure. How about you, David? Who'd you look up to?
At Claremont, I would have to say Dwight. And cool story is when I had my Sportsman modified at Claremont, I had Dwight take it out on practice one day just because I could not figure that thing out. And I felt like that was the coolest thing in the world to have Dwight Jarvis, who I looked up to as a little kid sitting in the stands, out there wheeling my car. I thought that was cool. And I mean, a lot of my success over the years, I have to give the Chip Grenier at Thunder Road. I mean, I was like 12, 14 years old in his shop. He'd show me what he was doing on his Tiger car and how things worked and whatnot. And I mean, I have to give a lot of what I've done over my career racing to him. I mean, I can't deny that.
Remember Skip's, one of his crewmen called Skeeter?
Yeah.
He's my cousin.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Look
yeah.
at
God bless.
a quick Roger Raymond story for you.
I think we got a couple of you.
Great family. We, my son Tyler, he bought I think it was a 76 Lincoln from Roger down there in Berniston, Mass. So we were going to take it for a test drive. Well, I'm in the back seat. And Roger was driving, and Tyler. We jumped some railroad tracks, and I'm going to tell you, I was in the back, I was scared. Roger's not scared. He's still not scared. He's like one of the best guys, you know. He's great.
If
That
the
was a
family
lot of
would
fun.
back him up, he'd still be racing.
Yeah.
He wants to race.
Oh, he does. He raced, I think 2015, he snuck a modified up to Claremont. And I think he got a top 10 out of it. He was still very fast. He's one of the great guys. The whole family is awesome down there. You know?
Yes, they are.
They've helped us out tremendously. And Raymond's Repair down there, they're all great. Definitely. Julia, Chris, and Roger, and all those guys are awesome. Julia's a pretty good hot shoe.
She can wheel a car.
And Chris is very intelligent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they know their stuff.
That is power plant material right there.
It's true.
But before we go, I gotta thank the people that came on board this year to help me actually race. And J.H. Dunning didn't come on board, but they made the acquisition of a new company over in Vermont, Custom Cabinetry, and they came on board with us this year, and they've been huge helping us. Also got to thank LFOD Motorsports, Bingham Contracting, or whatever we call them, right, Drew?
Every day.
Warris Auto's coming on to help us again this year. They were a huge help last year, me and Brian. So, and we still have more room. Anybody that wants to come on, give us a hand.
Nicole Greenslit.
Yeah, I gotta thank my wife. Otherwise, she's gonna crack the whip. And I'll be in trouble.
Yeah, I gotta also thank Brooks Automotive, Chris Emerson, Cutting Edge Property Maintenance. They just came on board this year. They gave us a pretty good chunk of change to help us out. We gotta thank Brian Town for helping out too. Sorry, Slutty, but took Town from you. Mountainside Graphics for doing the shirts. Graham and Graham Ambrose.
Lightning chassis.
I can't forget my father, Lightning Chassis. He's quite a bit of help. Even I'm hoping that he's at the house working on the car now, now we're starting to run into some issues, but we should be all right.
Every night this week, I've seen him down to Andy Hoffman's. So.
Yeah, we got stocks in there, luckily. And anybody else that wants to come on board and help out, absolutely, feel free to. And anything helps. I got a couple of people on the side that are helping out. Ray Parkus, he sponsored me a tire every time I won, so I about broke his bank because winning 11 times kind of put him in the hole. So.
Nicole says you're just thankful that she feeds the guys in the shop.
Yeah, that too. Whenever we're working on the car, there's always a hot dinner.
Not here. We usually get whatever's left over.
I'll have to send her over.
Yeah. Mom and the wife's usually working, and mom's usually in bed by 8. So.
And then Ben also says that the 5 tracks are probably going to get done. 5 tracks will probably get scanned, so that'd be good.
That'd be awesome.
Maybe I'll have to get it then.
So, folks, we're going to wrap up episode 2.
I got one more thing
Oh, sorry.
to say.
Yeah, yes.
Just
Very important, very important.
Just in case my buddy Mikey Griggs is out there watching,
I haven't seen him yet.
dude, if you ever want to get a girlfriend, get rid of that new profile picture. Even your blow-up doll ain't coming near you looking like that. And any of you little kids in Maine, make sure you get the candy in your hand before you go anywhere with it.
And on that note, we're going to close out episode 2 of our 2019 Facebook Live season, episode here, Daddy's Pizza. So we're not going to be live next Thursday night. We're going to be live next Saturday, March 23rd at 2 o'clock. Dick Williams is going to be joining us for the Tri-Track Open Modified Racing Series, as well as Mike Willis, who's one of the drivers and winner of the inaugural Ron Bouchard Auto Stores 100. He'll be here, and some other modified drivers as well. So tune in. You come down here live to Daddy's Pizza. I'll hand you a $5 off grandstand or pit admission ticket as well. Phil doesn't know that yet, so I'm just going to do it.
Is that now?
I'm telling him that's on the actual day.
Damn it.
So March 23rd, 2 o'clock here at Daddy's Pizza is our next Facebook Live. And also, if you saw, go back on our Facebook page.
On March 23rd.
Yesterday I posted a Claremont Motorsports Park. Guess the great snow out date. Make sure you put the date you think that we're going to get snowed out on there, and you'll win 4 $10 off passes.
Frederick says you look so cute,
yesterday,
Slutty.
so just make sure that if you did
Frederick says you look
make
cute.
sure you go back to that post.
He's like,
and put your date that you guessed. And
Frederick.
So, folks, I'm going to sign off tonight. Thank you very much, and we'll see you here next Saturday with Dick Williams for the Tri-Track Modified Series. Thanks, guys.
Peace out.